I'm Ben Thompson and I'm 22 years old. As such, I'm looking into all the things a young adult should. Marriage, breeding, and owning a home. Lo and behold, owning a home in the United States in 2024 is basically fucking impossible. As an American, the American dream is the underlying motivation that propels most youths throughout school and their careers. Owning a home is one of the cornerstones of that American dream, which makes the ever-distant goal of owning a home make the past 22 years of my life feel like they've been partially wasted. Which brings me here where I want to discuss the reasons why our birthright has been stripped away from us. And it's not just the boomers' fault. I'll get to them, don't worry. At its most basic, the housing crisis can be described as a supply and demand issue. The demand is skyrocketing, and the supply is not just standing stagnant, but is actually decreasing. Just look at this graph from the St. Louis Fed, showing a trend of increasing disparity. Here are the contributing factors. The United States has the highest rate of single-parent households in the world, and this cultural trend doesn't just affect children or financial status, it affects real estate. You see, Mrs. Bird and Mr. B used to live together. The agreement was that they would help take care of each other, raise a family, and importantly, live under one roof. But now, people are waiting longer to get married, if they get married at all. And when they do get married, there's roughly a 50% chance that they're going to get divorced and have to live separately again anyway. This means that Mrs. Bird and Mr. B will no longer have just one home to live under, they will have to have two. Which is to say that the original housing system, designed to accommodate couples, now has to accommodate roughly twice the amount of people. But that is not the only increase in people the system now has to accommodate for. The United States has the most immigration in the world, and in 2022, 2.5 million people immigrated to the United States, with a trend showing that it is growing. That is a lot of people, and all of them come here in need of housing. This amount of immigration is not just coming south of the border, but all across the world on every continent. Hell, the Chinese put $30 billion worth of investment into the real estate market in 2018, an increasing year-by-year trend.
I've then dug into what's happening with Chinese buying, the Chinese government or Chinese nationals buying farmland. So when you look at the amount of land that they're buying, it's not all that much. It's a lot of land, but given as much land as there is, it's like maybe less than 1%.
And they aren't the only country doing it. In 2018, China made up only 25% of foreign investment in American housing. Look, renting homes can be a great option for many. It serves as a cheaper option for those who are younger and still saving up to buy their own house. And on top of that, it serves as a great option for people in between living situations. And owning a rental property can be a great way for an average Joe type person to earn passive income or supplementary income and make his way to a better life. But the scale of rental properties is obscene. I recently came across this photo on Twitter comparing Airbnbs in Austin to the number of homes for sale there, and it's ridiculous. This doesn't seem to be just isolated to Texas. The number of rental properties in the world is ridiculous. And many people who are looking at this booming market are coming in order to flip houses. And in many of those cases, they come in and gut all of the historical qualities and replace it with new but cheap, low-quality shit. And then of course they sell it for a markup. Abhorrent. Yes, I came in and I flipped the house, adding value to it. I took out all of the classic historical cabinets and hardwood flooring and replaced it with vinyl flooring that looks like wood, and also cabinets that look like wood even though they're plywood. Oh, and I added a fresh coat of paint in eggshell white. That will be a $100,000 markup, please. Thank you. This is not even to mention all of the private companies that are buying up housing. Now, a company like BlackRock will tell you, no, we are not buying up American homes. But in this statement on BlackRock's website, just beneath it, BlackRock will tell you that yes, in fact, they are investing $120 billion in other companies who are buying up real estate projects. So no, BlackRock is not directly signing the check, but they are buying up those homes by proxy. Hell, my cousin with his wife and 2 young children struggled for a year to find a home because he kept getting outbid by private equities and banks. And you might be thinking the very obvious thing. If demand is as high as it is, why the hell aren't people developing new housing? Well, the simple answer is boomers, and the more complicated answer is housing associations. In the past, older people tended to move out of suburban areas into more condensed living spaces that would fit their lifestyle. This makes sense considering the suburban model is designed to accommodate families with children. However, not only have the older generations decided to live in their houses forever, but advancements in modern medicine mean that old people won't die.
Boomers are 85 years old, riddled with 4 cancers, and will not sell their house unless they make $900,000. There's all kinds of articles about this now, and it's hilarious. Boomers will not relinquish their hold on suburban real estate in America.
As you can see, the life expectancy for Americans has steadily risen throughout the years. Just to give you an example, take a look at my grandma's living situation. This is my grandma's house. It is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with obviously quite a bit of land. Now, my grandma has decided to live in this house in retirement alone. It is obviously too big for her. But instead of selling it to a family that could use it and raise their children with all of this land and all of the bedrooms and the bathrooms, again, she is elected to live in this house by herself. And boomers are dead set not letting anyone else get a piece of the pie. Through housing associations and city council meetings, people can actually block the developments of new housing projects. High-profile areas like San Francisco are notorious for having extremely difficult approval processes for new housing developments. But that's not the only area where people are struggling to develop new housing. Take a look at this city council meeting where residents of a rural and more secluded area fight pretty tooth and nail to prevent new housing from coming in.
Do you think that's funny? We're destroying everything. We can't breathe like this.
Brown and Riddell fear the quality of the proposed homes.
I want everyone to have a place to live, but
we want something that blends in more with the community.
Right, and I'm concerned about my property value.
And look, I get it. There are valid arguments to be said about preventing new housing developments. Bigger cities have bigger problems. Traffic is AIDS. And newer model housing and affordable housing initiatives are built pretty cheap and they look ugly by and large. So I understand the revulsion against wanting to live in human lasagna. I know I gave a pretty broad overview of all these issues, but I thought it was worth mentioning because not only are these a lot of issues that I don't see people talking about in relation to the housing market right now. A lot of people like to compare it to 2008, which was just a bubble, and a lot of people kind of have a surface level understanding of housing associations, but all of these issues combined contributing to housing, it makes me feel like it's going to take years, if not decades, to put a stopgap on this problem, and that's assuming we start today, which does not sound likely. But I don't want to leave you all doom and gloom. I think I want to leave you with an architectural story that kind of highlights a solution I'd like to see, and maybe a new philosophy we can apply to the real estate market in order to solve the housing crisis without adding a bunch of new problems that these people blocking new developments are so worried about. In the early 20th century, famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright became very widely known for all of his elaborate and extravagant designs for architecture. And rightfully so, he attracted many followers. One of these followers was a man named Herbert Jacobs, who followed Frank Lloyd Wright's work by looking at architectural magazines, and he was just in awe. However, he was more of a middle-class American who didn't really have any hope of one day living in one of Frank Lloyd Wright's extravagant designs. But one day, him and his wife had the opportunity to go meet Frank Lloyd Wright in person. And during this meet and greet, the couple challenged Frank Lloyd Wright. They said, "We bet that you cannot design a house that the average American could be able to reasonably afford." Now, Frank Lloyd Wright pondered this as a challenge a little bit, and he thought to himself, what a great idea. So Frank Lloyd Wright set to work and developed the Jacobs house. Now, at the time in the 20th century, this was a house that could be built reasonably for $5,000, and adjusting for inflation today in 2024 would be about $110,000. This concept of the Usonian home, where it would be able to be cheaply built, but still high quality and beautiful, is something that not only speaks to me, but I see as one of the perfect solutions for the problem facing the United States and a lot of other countries in the world right now. We face a shortage of housing, and a lot of the solutions being proposed are to make storage container houses or ugly affordable housing initiatives, which are basically cookie cutter, copy paste, ugly, poorly built pieces of garbage. And look, I know I'm being harsh, but you look at a suburban home today and compare it to an old style Victorian house that was pretty commonplace, and the difference is night and day. You feel a loss of quality and artistic value in the architecture around us. And I hope that, assuming we can solve these social problems and be able to get more affordable housing for more Americans, that it isn't just a solution of having people live in a souped up storage container. It's going to be an initiative more like the Usonian style Jacobs house.